Spain rocked, civil police investigate recordings of Queen Letizia and Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, financial conspiracy in the Dominican Republic. Madrid. The atmosphere in Spain has become increasingly tense over the past few weeks as leaks of mysterious phone calls between Queen Letizia and Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez have begun to spread. What many initially thought were just friendly private exchanges between two people with a specially compatible relationship are now at the heart of a potential criminal investigation that could rock both the royal family and Spanish politics. According to investigative journalists Diego Arrabal, Mike Vasco and Laura Rodriguez, who first raised the suspicions about the unusual relationship between the country's two most powerful figures, this is not just an unusual friendship, but could be the tip of the iceberg of a massive corruption scheme that stretches from Spain all the way to the Dominican Republic, a country long known as a favorite destination for high net worth individuals in need of a hideout. Unpublished recordings, but leaked? Security sources say that the calls between Letizia and Pedro Sánchez, which span months, possibly even years, are now being collected and analyzed by the civil police. These recordings, which have not yet been officially released, are believed to have been leaked from an internal surveillance facility, and from what they are described, their content is not simply personal exchanges. Some of the leaked passages, according to investigative reporters, show the two men talking about moving money, ensuring it is untraceable, and setting up investment funds in the Dominican Republic. These terms, if confirmed, could be clear signs of money laundering or tax evasion, accusations that even a member of the royal family cannot escape legal consequences. Is the Dominican Republic a safe destination for the super-rich? The Dominican Republic, while not officially classified as a tax haven, has a legal system that is considered soft and has many loopholes in financial controls. Shell companies, anonymous accounts, and special incentives for foreign investors have made it an ideal place for those who want to transfer assets discreetly. In the alleged calls, Queen Letizia is said to have mentioned personal contacts in Santo Domingo, as well as investment options through intermediaries to limit the attention of the European press. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, meanwhile, is described as having no objections, and even giving some technical recommendations. If so, this raises serious questions. Is there a secret alliance between the royal family and the government in running shady financial operations? Letizia, from royal icon to center of investigation? Queen Letizia, once praised for her intellectual beauty and independent image, is now embroiled in an unprecedented crisis since she entered the Spanish royal family. From an idealistic journalist, she has become the focus of financial suspicions, in which she herself is not only in the know, but may have been the initiator. According to a source close to the Zarzuela Palace, she has always had her own connections in international finance, and it is not unusual for the elite to use funds abroad. However, when the person is a member of the royal family, and the Queen, it is no longer a personal matter, but a national one. Pedro Sánchez, incited or complicit? The role of Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez in this story cannot be overlooked. As head of government, he has a duty to ensure financial transparency and fight corruption. But if the recordings are genuine, then he not only knew about Letizia's suspicious behavior, but also suggested how it was done? This, if confirmed, would not only cost him his job but could lead to criminal prosecution. The question is, why would a seasoned politician like Sánchez allow himself to get involved in such a risky relationship? The civil police are involved. Where will the investigation go? The civil police have now opened a preliminary investigation into financial irregularities and potential collusion between high-ranking figures. It is likely that in the coming days, the authorities will formally request the palace and the Prime Minister's office to provide relevant documents. A source close to the Ministry of the Interior said, "We are taking the data we have collected seriously. If there are signs of irregularities, no one, not the royal family or the Prime Minister, is immune from the law." Royal and government response. Up to now, the Zarzuela Palace has remained completely silent. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's office has issued a brief statement. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez does not comment on unfounded rumors, and fully supports any investigation that may be necessary. That silence has only added to the skepticism of a public that is increasingly weary of scandals in its leadership. Conclusion: the investigation into the recordings between Queen Letizia and Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez could be the beginning of an unprecedented political and financial earthquake in Spain. If what has been leaked is true, the country could see a serious collapse in public trust in the royal family and the government. Is this a disastrous misunderstanding, a political plot from the opposition, or is the terrible truth gradually being revealed? Time, and recordings, will tell. Madrid. Since the leak of secret recordings between Queen Letizia and Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez spread across newspapers and social media, the investigation by the Spanish civil police has rapidly entered a new phase, with its depth and sensitivity increasing by the day. While much of the public is still reeling from the suspicion of a shady relationship involving money transfers and investments in the Dominican Republic, investigators have begun to map out a much more complex financial network, and even reveal the presence of a powerful third party, long in the shadows. Fake bank accounts and their traces in Switzerland. According to a leaked internal report by the Guardia Civil, a series of bank accounts opened under shell companies in Switzerland, Belize and the Dominican Republic have been identified as being directly linked to the anonymous names mentioned in the recordings between Letizia and Pedro Sánchez. In at least 3 of the quoted recordings, Letizia is said to have said, "Los fondos deben salir de Ginebra antes de fin de mes. No pueden vincularse conmigo ni contigo. The money must be withdrawn from Geneva by the end of the month. No contact with me or you is allowed." If true, this would suggest not only clear knowledge of wrongdoing, but also a calculated plan to conceal the flow of funds. Investigators suspect that the sum in question is in the tens of millions of euros, and could be commissions from public contracts approved by the Spanish government during the COVID-19 pandemic. Who is the third person, El Catalán? Another shocking detail that emerged in a confidential report is that Letizia and Sánchez repeatedly mentioned a person nicknamed El Catalán, who is said to be the one who handles everything. In a quoted call, Letizia is said to have said, "Déjaselo El Catalán. Siempre sabe cómo hacer que desaparezcan las cosas. Leave it to El Catalán. He always knows how to make things disappear." According to investigative journalists, the real identity of El Catalán may be an influential businessman in the construction and renewable energy industries, a known donor to the PSOE's election campaigns, but who has never been seen in public. There are unconfirmed reports that he spends most of his time in Andorra, which has strict financial secrecy laws. The reference to El Catalán as an intermediary between Letizia and her offshore financial activities has raised questions among investigators. Is he just a financial henchman, or is he the real mastermind behind it all? The crisis of confidence and international reaction. This unprecedented scandal has sent shockwaves not only through the Spanish public, but also within the European Union. Anti-money laundering organizations in Brussels are asking Spain to clarify the extent of involvement of financial institutions in the EU, especially Swiss and Austrian banks, where suspicious transactions have been reported. Many international commentators have spoken out. Le Monde, France, called it a moral bomb in the heart of European royalty. Der Spiegel, Germany, likened the case to a royal version of the Panama Papers. CNN reported that it was suspicious of a financial mafia structure in the heart of European democracy. Domestic opinion polls show that more than 65% of Spaniards believe that all content related to Letizia and Sanchez's calls should be fully investigated and made public, regardless of the consequences. Reactions from all sides: the more silent, the more suspicious. While the press and the public are in an uproar, the Spanish royal family remains absolutely silent. King Felipe VI has not made any statements, although the press has noted his appearance at public events with an unusually cold expression.